It's time to get your news on. We are VK1WIA.
Yes, it is. It is the WIA National News Service for week commencing April 23, 2023. And this week, hot on the heels of last week's World Amateur Radio Day, comes International Morse Code Day, Thursday. And Mark, VK6QI, will tell us of lots of opportunities for you to participate. WIA Director Chris, VK3FY, gives us details on his participation in World Amateur Radio Day and also details how you can take part in May's WIA AGM. And this week, discussion point with Jeff, VK4ZPP, and the apparent lost art of club publicity and promotions. Plus, much more in this edition of news from the Wireless Institute of Australia. I'm Editor Graham, VK4BB, and to our many VK5 listeners and readers today, if you can, get along to the Seaford Scout Hall, 7 Railway Road, Seaford Meadows. The South Coast Amateur Radio Club's annual buy and sell gathering will take place in just hours, the 23rd of April, starting 11:30am. So, after the news and callbacks, get cracking. The weather's just perfect for a hamfest. Speaking of weather, solar maximum might arrive early. In wireless weather, evidence is mounting that solar cycle 25 might peak much earlier than was expected. New research by a leading group of solar physicists predict maximum sunspot activities in late 2023 or early 24, with a peak that could be twice as strong as the previous solar cycle.
We are VK1WIA.
International Morse Code Day is coming up this week. Thursday, April the 27th, the anniversary of Samuel Morse's birthday. Whether you love or hate Morse code, it's been the basis of radio communication since the late 19th century, and today there's been a real resurgence in amateur radio interest in the fine art. So, to celebrate International Morse Code Day, the CQ-QRS/CW Practice QSO team, now there's a mouthful, try sending that in Morse, is inviting you to a Morse code trivia quiz on Thursday evening using Zoom video conferencing. Last year, we had participants from WA, South Australia, New South Wales, Tassie and Florida, and we're hoping that you'll join in the fun this year. Mr. Morse Code, Richard, VK6PZT, will run the quiz for us this year. Although some knowledge about Morse code will help, don't worry, like most trivia quizzes, we'll have multi-guess questions and you'll have just as much opportunity to have a laugh as the rest of us. Also with Zoom, as long as you have access to a phone, tablet or computer connected to the internet, you'll be able to join in. Login details in the quiz time will be published on both the Bunbury Radio Club and the Peel Amateur Radio Group websites this week. But wait, there's more. The CQ-QRS/CW Practice QSO team will also be running a really simple slow CW contest on 80 metres on Friday, Saturday or Sunday. No complex logs required, and you won't even need to be proficient at CW. The participants will match your speed, and lots of repeats will be the order of the evening, and the organisers will be adding a twist to the usual contest exchange. Information on the International Morse Code Day Slow CW Corroboree will also be published this week on the Bunbury Radio Club and the Peel Amateur Radio Group websites. So, put them in your diary. International Morse Code Day Trivia Quiz this Thursday evening, April the 27th. And the International Morse Code Slow CW Corroboree will be Friday, Saturday or Sunday, April the 28th, 29th or the 30th. Any questions? Please contact me, Mark Bosma, by email mark.bosma@icloud.com. Cheers! We look forward to sharing International Morse Code Day with you on Thursday and the weekend. This is Mark, VK6QI and VK2KI for the CQ-QRS Slow CW Practice QSO team.
Good morning, this is Chris Dimitrievich, VK3FY, on behalf of the WA Board for the WIA Weekly News Broadcast VK1WIA. The WIA Annual General Meeting will be held on Saturday the 13th of May 2023 at 10:30am. This will be a hybrid event, meaning you can attend in several ways. In person at the Anne Harding Conference Centre, University of Canberra, Bruce ACT, or via an internet streaming platform, details to be advised. On the agenda for this year's AGM are as follows. 1. To receive and consider the annual financial statements, directors' reports, and independent auditors' reports. 2. To confirm the results of the election of directors. 3. To consider a special resolution to amend a typographical error. Details can be seen on the notice of the AGM WIA. 4. Consider a special resolution to bestow life membership to Peter Young, VK3 Mike Victor. 5. Transact any other business that may be brought before the meeting in accordance with the WIA Constitution. Don't forget to get your proxies in if you are unable to attend. Proxies can be sent to proxy@wia.org.au. World Amateur Radio Day. This week saw the activities of many special event stations across the world, with many stations signing off with WARD as their suffix in celebration of World Amateur Radio Day. I had the pleasure of working many of these stations whilst I was activating Yankee United / Victor Kilo 3 Fox Yankee from Vitanovic in central Serbia. The local TV station Kraljevo made a surprise visit to the station of Yankee Tango 1 Alpha Delta, Yankee Tango 5 Alpha contest station, to interview Franny on what amateur radio is. It was a good PR event for the hobby. To my surprise, they interviewed me for the segment, as I was a foreign visiting amateur radio operator. Once again, don't forget your proxies for the AGM. 73s from Chris VK3FY on behalf of the WA board for the weekly WA news broadcast of VK1WIA.
Now, discussion point. Jeff Emery, VK4ZPP, who week upon week, never a fail, sends his thoughts through to the local VK4 area news, Q News. He sort of champions the club and social side of the amateur radio community, and it's well worth the whole of VK listening to this. Over to you, Jeff.
Like many of us, I want to see this community continue to expand and grow, with the involvement of as many people as we can find to enjoy this recreation. Fishing might be the most popular pastime in the country, but amongst the pursuits that are technical, well, I would like to see others get the enjoyment and involvement we obviously have. To this end, I periodically offer prompts as to what we can consider to grow our club membership and get the story of amateur radio percolating in the community. Pointers to activities and groups and segments of the local community have been relatively plentiful, and I dare say will continue to be, as the recruitment and retention of members ensures the continuity of a great story. Some years ago, the Wireless Institute of Australia produced a publicity kit that could be used to draft press releases, and this was accompanied by a poster artwork which could be reproduced to promote events. Well, we no longer hear reference to these items, and like the National Field Day that they supported, along with the World Amateur Radio Day, the 18th of April, they seem to have been archived as pieces of history, no longer relevant. Well, to a point that might be true, because the mass media has moved on, with many of the local papers caught under a monopoly ownership, with publication now only online and only available to paying subscribers. Broadcasters are being caught in the jaws of needing money and having the various internet and social media platforms engorging on the advertising revenue that once supported everything from the buy and sell pages of the newspapers to production of local content and the buying of rights to popular programming. The art of a journalist is still surviving, and newspapers, radio and television may be holding on to their place against the onslaught of the internet, and when it comes to getting publicity out to the broad community, we depend on these professionals to present it. This brings us back to the publicity kit. Now, putting things together and distributing it may need to be a bit more sophisticated than previously. We have our smartphones with nice cameras to capture still and video images. Local TV stations in my area ask for video, and papers will gladly accept stills of good quality that are suitable to print. We're fortunate the tools to show our function, our community service, are in our hands these days. Videos only need to be short, so we aren't looking for a Spielberg production, just a glimpse to whet the interest of the viewer. Now, to my mind, this all suggests that some of the hams who have experience in the media could get their heads in front of their device video cameras and revamp the old material to make it work for us today. I know the skills are in our audience, and we just need to be given the direction to get it done and out to our clubs. I'm Jeff Emery, and that's what I think. How about you?
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's national news service. We are VK1WIA. Now, international news with VK2LAW Jason.
Hello. Last Tuesday, April 18, was World Amateur Radio Day, and World Amateur Radio Day stations still celebrating on the air include Portugal. Charlie Quebec 7, Hotel Sierra 4 Alpha will be QRV until the 25th. Denmark 5 Papa 0 WARD, also active until April 25. Until the end of April, Belgium Oscar Tango 23 WARD. Croatia 9 Alpha 23 WARD. South Africa Zulu Sierra 9 WARD. More information about 2023 World Amateur Radio Day is available at the link we like in the text version of this, your WIA National News, wia.org.au. In news from Region 1 to the United Kingdom, Ofcom has confirmed the call sign Golf Bravo 23 Charlie can be used for the RSGB's Coronation SSES. Cray Valley Radio Society members led by Bob, Mike 0 Mike Charlie Victor, and Dave, Golf 4 Bravo Uniform Oscar, are organising the flagship amateur radio station which will use this call sign from the 3rd to the 8th of May. The SSES will be in the grounds of the Old Royal Naval College along the riverside in Greenwich. From the 10th of May until the end of June, the call sign will be available for individuals and clubs to use until the end of June 2023. If you're wondering what an SSES is, in the UK they have two types of special event stations. Specials, SSES, for short duration, and Permanents, PSES, for longer durations. To news from Region 2, US Congresswoman Debbie Lesko recently visited a hamfest and met with amateur radio operators at DeVry University campus in Phoenix, Arizona. Congresswoman Lesko's visit was a highlight of the event, as she's a major supporter of amateur radio. Lesko arrived early and spoke with many amateur radio attendees and ARRL leadership representatives. She toured the emergency communications vehicles and explored with great interest the interrelationship of amateur radio's emergency responders with federal, state and local agencies. Congresswoman Lesko spent a considerable amount of time listening to how radio amateurs integrate communication support with first responders and how amateur radio supports civic activities and community events. ARRL leadership showed how hams support government programs and how favourable legislation strengthens the effectiveness of the amateur radio service's mission of supporting the public. Lesko said it was wonderful to join ARRL and ARRL Arizona and meet with amateur radio operators at Hamfest in Phoenix, Arizona. Amateur radio operators play such a critical role in emergency situations, and our communities are safer thanks to their information sharing. I'll continue to be an advocate for amateur radio operators in Congress and highlight the important contributions they've made to our nation. The National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting, in conjunction with the Westchester Amateur Radio Association, announced expanded hours during the 2023 Dayton Hamvention. The Westchester Amateur Radio Association, Whiskey Charlie 8 Victor Oscar Alpha, will be on the air. The museum is a short drive from Hamvention down Interstate 75 or Route 42 from Xenia. New exhibits include a dedicated room for amateur radio and shortwave equipment and a newly renovated ham shack. And wrapping up international news from Region 3 to India, a special event station from VU Land is operating until June the 2nd in conjunction with the G20 Summit to be held in New Delhi September. Felix, VK4FUQ, will tell us of the call, etc. in just a few minutes' time here on VK1WIA National News. For VK1WIA National News in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK2LAW.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now, operational news with VK4FUQ. Felix.
Hello there, and today we start the segment with sad and tragic news. The World Radio Sport Team Championship Committee is grieving the loss of a fellow contestant and avid DXer, Richard King, K5NA, who had been chosen to be a referee for WRTC 2022 in Bologna in July. Richard was electrocuted while taking down a 40-metre beam, which hit a power line. Now contest-wise, May 6 Saturday, Harry Angel Memorial Sprint, 106 minutes, an annual 80-metre contest event, first established in 1999 to commemorate the life of Harry Angel, VK4HA, who at the time of his becoming a silent key was the oldest licensed amateur in Australia, at 106. The duration of the contest is 106 minutes, 1 minute for each year of Harry's life. The Harry Angel Memorial Sprint has been run annually since 1999, and although when the concept by out of the VK4BB and late Brian Beamish VK4BBS was developed, it was held Anzac Day evening. It is usually held on the first Saturday in May each year, 10 hours UTC to 11:46 UTC. May 2021, Don Edwards Memorial Slow Morse Contest begins a weekend after Mother's Day. 80-metre section, Saturday 20th of May, 6 to 9 p.m. Sydney time. 40-metre section, afternoon of Sunday 21st of May, 1 to 4 p.m. Sydney time. June 24-25, Winter, BHF-UHF Field Day. 0100 hours UTC, Saturday 24 to 0059 hours UTC, Sunday 25. But in VK6, add 3 hours on the start and end times. June weekend prior to second Monday of June, VK Shires. Also make a note that the 2023 QRP Day happens June 17. IAAHF World Championship Contest takes place the second full weekend of July, beginning 1200 hours UTC Saturday and ending 1200 hours UTC Sunday, July 8 and 9. All licensed amateurs worldwide are eligible to participate in this contest, as the objective is to contact as many other amateurs as possible, especially IAAE member society HQ stations around the world, using the 160, 80, 40, 20, 15 and 10 metre bands. July 15, Trans-Tasman Low Band Contest, held on the third weekend in July, aims to encourage low band activity between VK and ZL. 160, 80 and 40 metres are allowed with SSB, CW and digital, RTTY or PSK. Contest manager is Alan Shannon, VK4SN. DX window. These Aussie special calls are on air are worth listening for. VI6CRO is the special event call sign for the Carnarvon Eclipse event, April 17 to 23rd. So it ends today, Sunday 23. VI 2023 HRH 1st to 31st of May celebrates the coronation of King Charles III. The next 4 are in play to year's end. VI 10 VKFF celebrates the 10-year anniversary of the VKFF group. VI 100MB celebrates the centenary year of the Manly Warringah Radio Society. VK90AR for the 90 years of the WIA's journal Amateur Radio Magazine. VK100ZL celebrates the centenary of the first Trans-Tasman radio contact between Australia and New Zealand, again until December 31. And speaking of VK100ZL, a special event call sign, ZL100, has been issued for 3 months to the NZART to commemorate the event, commencing 26 April to 25 July. Amateurs in Israel are celebrating the 75th anniversary of the founding of the Israel Amateur Radio Club, and the establishment of the State of Israel, with special prefixes 4X75 and 4Z75, now until April 30. DX0NE, DExpedition. DX0NE is a single-operator DExpedition to the Spratly Islands, IOTA number AS051, on the air from the 30th of April until the 9th of May. India. All pens and paper at the ready. This is the special call which Jason VK2LAW told you I'd be giving you. See here it is. Special Event Station AT2G20 is QRP until June 2 to promote greater international cooperation through amateur radio, in conjunction with the G20 Summit to be held in New Delhi, September 9 and 10. QSL via operator's instructions. For VK1WIA National News, I'm Felix VK4FUQ Enningham.
Across Australia from VK1WIA, you are tuned to the WIA National News Service. In Adelaide and surrounding areas, it can be heard on VK5 RAD on 147.000 MHz at 0900 hours on Sunday morning. I am Alan, VK5, Mike Alpha Kilo.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now, Special Interest Group News with VK3GTV. Cole.
Hello. First up, it's Worldwide Special Interest Group News, Summits on the Air, Worldwide Flora and Fauna Program, Parks on the Air, and other adventure groups. VK7 SOTA/WWFF Parks Group. The Summits on the Air Worldwide Flora and Fauna Parks Group meets twice weekly on Mondays and Fridays, 10:30 a.m. until midday at the Glebe Gardens Cafe in Henry Street, Launceston. And someone who will definitely need a coffee break is Stuart, VK3UAO. He's presently riding his bicycle from Melbourne to Pilliga Parkfest to be held April 29 to 30th, a journey of more than 1,000 kilometres. So listen for and work Stuart, VK3UAO, and wish him well on his massive bike ride. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Astronomy. Radio waves have led astronomers to an exoplanet, a planet beyond our solar system, and it's likely the same size as Earth. Dave Parks, WB8ODF, gives us the details, as he gave to AR Newsline.
Repeating radio signals have led astronomers to a rocky exoplanet that is the same size as our own Earth, and like Earth, it orbits a star, one known as YZ Ceti. Further studies of the signal suggest that the planet may also have an atmosphere and a magnetic field. Writing in a recent issue of the journal Nature Astronomy, the researchers have named the planet YZ Ceti b. The scientists say that the magnetic field's interactions with the star are the likely cause of the radio signals. The signals were picked up in New Mexico by the Carl G. Jansky Very Large Array of Telescopes. The star and exoplanet are 12 light-years away from Earth. Of course, this is not the first finding of its kind. Last year, the James Webb Space Telescope discovered its first exoplanet, which is also believed to be rocky and almost as big as the Earth. The planet, called LHS 475b, is 41 light-years away. The research team, which announced the discovery this past January, is trying to learn more about the star it orbits and whether the planet has an atmosphere. This work is set to be done this summer. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Dave Parks, WB8ODF.
Thanks, Dave. On to Worldwide Special Interest Groups Digital. March 17, 2023, and FT4DMC is launched. The aims of the club are promoting radio operations in FT4, creating incentives to use this mode of operation with a moderate number of available diplomas, and increasing activity on the amateur radio bands. Membership in the FT4DMC is free and open to all interested parties. FT4 is becoming more popular, and many DExpeditions use this type of transmission. FT4 was developed by Dr. Joe Taylor, K1JT. The original idea was to use only FT4 for contests. With about 2.5 times the speed of FT8, FT4 is efficient, and the level of interest is terrific. In just around 6 weeks, the FT4DMC already has more than 1,300 members, and the first diplomas have been awarded. As with the FT8DMC, the application for issuing the diplomas takes place via the program developed by Heinz Urban, VK1WIA. The FT8DMC now has 21,600 members from 148 DXCC entities, and more than 1.5 million diplomas have been issued. Additional information is available at wia.org.au in this week's text edition of WIA National News. Worldwide Special Interest Group's final frontier, NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei, KG5GNP, won't be a record holder for much longer. He made news after logging the most days in space for a US astronaut, 355 days, aboard the International Space Station in 2022. Now NASA astronaut Frank Rubio is right behind him and gaining. He's been on the ISS since September 21, 2022, and his mission has grown beyond its original 6 months. He's now scheduled to leave aboard a Russian Soyuz spacecraft by September 27th, meaning his 371 days will eclipse the one set by Vande Hei. However, even with that accomplishment, he'll still be leaving the world record intact. That was set by the late Russian cosmonaut Valery Polyakov, who logged an unprecedented 437 days aboard Russia's Mir space station in 1994 and 1995. The cosmonaut died last year at age 80. Worldwide Special Interest Group's software development. The Amateur Radio Software Award Committee has announced that Grid Tracker, a project led by Stephen Loomis, N0TTL. The GridTracker.org team has been selected as the recipient of the 4th Annual Amateur Radio Software Award. The award recognizes software projects that enhance amateur radio and promote innovation, freedom, and openness in amateur radio software development. The committee was impressed by the breadth of features in GridTracker, its innovative graphic interface, and its ability to make amateur radio more fun. GridTracker is a tool that visualizes WSJTX amateur radio traffic, like FT8 and contacts from log files, which makes it easier for radio amateurs to track their contacts and participate in contests. Its unique approach to visualizing radio traffic adds a new dimension of enjoyment to the radio art. To learn more about GridTracker, visit gridtracker.org. And that's the latest Worldwide Special Interest Group news. I'll have more next week. I'm Cole, VK3GTV.
Who listens to radio?
This is Doug, VK2DCR.
Hi, this is Ian, VK3BUF.
I'm Dave, VK4DAK.
7-3 from Graham, VK3GL.
I'm Bob, VK6POP.
73, Paul, VK5 Papa Alpha Sierra.
That's all.
2023 social scene and clubs are welcome to submit text with audio for this section. Details of all WIA affiliated clubs and societies can be found on the WIA website, including email addresses and website links. Speaking of website links, we don't always broadcast those in the news. Would get a little confusing as you're driving down the A34. But make a note of this, because we did tell you at the top of this news bulletin. In VK5, the South Coast Amateur Radio Club's buy and sell is on today, Sunday the 23rd, 11:30am at Seaford Scout Hall. That's in Railway Road, number 7, Seaford Meadows. VK3 Moorabbin Hamfest, May 6. Right across VK, but it takes place really from Canberra, but it's on Zoom, will be the WIA's AGM, May 13. VK2 Oxley Region Annual Field Day, Warhope, June 10 and 11, and also on the same date, the Surg Convention and Fox Hunting Championships in VK5. VK4 at Sunfest, September 9. For the whole of VK, but taking place in Hobart, November 4 and 5, Alara Meet 2023. And back to VK5, Amateur Radio Experimenters Group Radio and Electronic Sale, November 26. Now till next we meet, and don't forget, International Morse Code Day coming up. I'm Graham, VK4BB. Walk softly.
This is VK1WIA. All points of contacts from today's news stories are to be found in print, when you read the web editions, www.wia.org.au.
From Australia, this has been the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
Courtesy of Bevan, VK5BD's ATV and YouTube channel, this has been WIA National News. We're back now, live and local, and your voice, your callbacks. And don't forget, tick like.